Hey everyone, welcome back to the show. My name is Karosh, as you may know. That rhymed. This is episode 6 of my show. Still working title. That's one thing where I mentioned in my last video we're doing goals. Maybe one of the goals should have been figure out a name for the show like definitively, but taking suggestions. But yeah, this episode is gonna be much like my last one about 2024, looking ahead. I very much wanted to look ahead in regards to the games coming out in 2024 and talk about those for a sec because I very much enjoyed a lot of what came out this year, as I'm sure many of you have as well. There was a lot to enjoy. Everything from Dead Space and Resident Evil 4 to Baldur's Gate 3 to Tears of the Kingdom to Spider-Man 2 to everything in between. There's a ton of stuff. And so I kind of was like, is there anything coming out in 2024? And there are. I don't think it's going to be as heavy-handed as prior years, at least as of what we know right now. But that doesn't take away from the games that are coming out in 2024. I feel like if anything, it allows those games to have a little bit more room to breathe and to be enjoyed and to be, just to have the space of the conversation. So I'm excited to dive into a few of them. I have about 7 or so that I want to go over. So let's jump right in. At number one on that list, it's not a ranking, so I'm just kind of like going through them. But the first one I want to talk about is a game I actually saw at PAX West in 2023 in Seattle. It was with Ironwood Studios, an indie studio that I got a chance to meet and talk to for a little bit about their game Pacific Drive. This game was really interesting to me because one, it just had like it was drawing a crowd, so that's always like an easy indicator of like, oh, maybe there's something I should check out here. But once I got a chance to like go and see what it was that they were offering, I was realizing it was more than just like it wasn't just like all for show like the crowd that was creating. It's this kind of game where it feels like I don't know how to describe it, like a you're in a station wagon and it's kind of it looked post-apocalyptic in some ways, and you're in the boonies or in the forests and such, and you're just finagling things, salvaging parts, keeping your wagon, upgrading your station wagon, just coming across disturbances, and just exploring, and kind of survival exploration was a lot of what the name of the game was, and it was enjoyable. Like I feel like having just finished Dredge, I find some of that exploratory inventory combination, um, if done right, can hit the spot in a really fun way. That's just kind of relaxing. I don't feel a lot of pressure. I don't feel like I need to like an urgency necessarily. I can just kind of roam at my own pace, see what this world is that they've created and the mysteries, and kind of let the world kind of reveal itself to me as I play. So I'm really excited to see what that game has to offer, and I don't know exactly when it's going to be coming out. I don't think with any of these games, there's a set date except for one of them, which I'm going to check right now. Okay, so then at number 2, I have Metaphor Refanzio. This is by Atlas. They're well known for, I believe, their Shin Megami Tensei games as well as their Persona games. Persona being one of their big popular fandoms that they have. But this game like feels like it takes all of what they've learned from at least the last Persona, Persona 5 Royale, which is the more definitive version, and really taken in that and some of the stylistic, more um, not graphic, but like more intense uh, world building. Like Persona is very much high school setting. I feel like Shin Megami Tensei is like much more final, much more apocalyptic, much more like larger scale. The trailers of this, I have yet to. I don't know exactly the scope, but it feels more like the Shin Megami stuff with the tones, with the combat and stuff that they took from Persona, but then cranked up. Like looking at the gameplay, it looked awesome. It looked fluid. It looked like a ramp up and an evolution of what they've been making, and that's got me excited. I was just already in it, just knowing that it was from that studio, those studios, and that it's like the next thing that they're putting out. But I'm very much more interested now that I've seen some footage, and I'm hopefully showing some right now as well, to kind of highlight what I'm talking about. Like, it really looks like it's eye catching, it's grabbing, it looks like it's mixing the turn based that they're known for with a lot more dynamic elements as well. Maybe much like how Final Fantasy 16 was kind of trying to do that, or Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth for the Final Fantasy series was blending turn based with more real time gameplay. Um, so I'm very excited. I love the creativity that it looks like it's got in all aspects, and I have no idea what the story's even about, but I'm here for it. I'm down. Let's get weird. That's what I'm hoping for. So that's my second game I'm looking forward to. And then at number 3, we got Elden Ring: Shadow of Erdtree from FromSoft. It's a DLC. It kind of goes without saying, Elden Ring was a fantastic game. I loved it. Platinumed it, and I'm eager for more. I'm curious what this will entail. Really, like, I don't need to go into too much detail. The trailer is kind of just teases a little bit. I don't think it showed too much that when they didn't announced it, and I'm hoping it comes out. And looks. I'm confident it'll be good. I'm just more curious how it'll work with like an existing save file, what could come of it, what it'll allow me to do. Are there new? I'm sure there'll be new bosses. I'm sure there's a new area, but I'm sure FromSoft fans already have kind of an understanding of like when new DLC comes out for their games, what do they get? But I'm wondering what will they do different from those past entries that maybe makes this a more of a unique experience, given that Elden Ring is more of an open world. With the scale of it was a little larger than some of those prior games too. So I'm always just, yeah, I'm curious what they do to push the envelope, but I'm excited nonetheless. Number 4 on this list is Black Myth Wukong by a Chinese studio named Game Science. This one just grabbed me by its presentation. Like, any of the footage you look at, it just, I feel like it took what the epic fights looked like in Sekiro and made cinematics out of all of them, and then it turned those cinematics are playable cinematics, and so it's like I feel like it just cranked up the Sekiro stuff that I loved, and is doing its own thing. I'm optimistic because of what it's shown so far. They've shown quite a bit of what looks to be gameplay, and it looks smooth. It looks well made, polished, well done, high production value. Um, I'm hoping it's not gonna let that down. I don't know anything about this studio. I have no prior history with anything they've done. But I'm curious. I'm optimistic. I'm hopeful. So we'll see what they do. But I'm very much keeping an eye on this for this year in hopes that it is something that I would enjoy, or it be at least interesting. Prove to be interesting in some. Okay, so this next one's interesting because I think, was it this year? I think it was this year. When did it come out? I don't think, no. Oh, it came out. Okay. So 2 years ago, I've been a Magic the Gathering fan for some time. And 2 years ago, they've been doing a lot more of these licensed sets where it's a crossover with an existing IP. And 2 years ago, they decided to do that with Warhammer. And I've never really known Warhammer until then. And I went in on these the various commander decks that they had and loved them. All of them were great. And what it made, two of my favorite decks that I still have to now are from Warhammer. And so it just it got me more and more curious playing with them, that I was like, who are these characters I'm drawn to, and maybe there's something more I could really invest into. And so I have a few friends that love Warhammer, and they just were telling me all the lore. They were telling me more and more about it. And then I learned about the video games in addition to the miniatures. And I've played Chaos Gate on streaming a bunch, and that was one of my first games that I streamed. Um, and that was a fun game. And then the rabbit hole just kept going deeper and deeper. And now I'm still very much, I feel like, on the joy of Warhammer is still not too deep, like, but I do find it interesting, and I'm hoping to find more and more things interesting out of it, with the next game I'm looking for, which is Space Marine 2, by Saber Interactive. It was originally slated to come out in 2023, got pushed out to 2024, and it looks great. It looks like a Gears of War, Warhammer, just mashup of goodness, and it looks beautiful from the gameplay shown, from everything that they have. I'm hoping I get more and more into it, and just there's just more to bite into because it seems like it's just such a rich world of stories, of characters, of all kinds of conflicts, and I'm ready for it. I'm here for it. So Space Marine 2 is a big one for me. I think I'm really curious about. This next one is technically a release. I'm counting it just because I'm frothing at the mouth for anything more from this studio, and that's Super Giants Hades 2 early access. It's coming out in early access, supposedly this year in 2024. I feel very confident. They seem like a solid studio that when they say something, they really stick with it, and if they don't, they have very good reason. I'm really hopeful that the early access launches this year, and they work through that iterative process of what early access really benefited them with the first Hades, of how they tweaked it, what they learned from it. But Hades was such a great game, like from story to gameplay to just all the elements that made it, just the little nuances that stood out. I loved all of it, and it was fantastic. And Hades 2, the fact that they went back and are doing a sequel to that, I'm really curious what has prompted them to make a sequel. This is, I believe, the first time they're doing a sequel as a studio, with this game, and so I'm really, really curious as to like what that means. Like what are they going to bring to the table, given that they've with each game they typically change something up. They try for a different style of game. They try for a make different gaming mechanics that make up their game. They don't say we're a first person shooter studio. They do all kinds of stuff, and each time is different. So this is one of the few times it seems like they're kind of sticking with that same formula. With the huge success that Hades brought them, I don't see why they wouldn't do that. But I am very curious as to what that means for them as a studio. What do they take on and then build upon within that world? Is really exciting, really interesting to me. So I'm very much looking forward to it. And then at number 7, I thought this was only fitting that I have this in the 7th spot, but it is Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth. I like what I did. Yeah, I did. I appreciated it. Square Enix, Final Fantasy VII Remake was my first introduction to Final Fantasy VII, which is weird because of what it turned out to be. And then after finishing it, it made me listen to, like, I don't know, cumulatively it was about 20 hours, maybe 15 probably conservatively, of podcasts explaining what it's done to the Final Fantasy VII lore, what Final Fantasy VII did, what that game did in in contrast to that, with the story and everything and elements of it. I won't spoil it, but it changes stuff in the way of what a remake or a re-envisioning is. And so it being part 1, now this is part 2, and I feel like it's going to go even more so in that direction of like what will be different, what are they doing, because it's just such a there's decisions that occur in the latter ends of the game that really shift what it was from from what it was remaking. So yeah, I'm super stoked. I enjoyed that game so much. I was surprised at how much. I was very much like, well, let me just try it, and I fell in love with it. The gameplay was fantastic. I think that was the right blend of turn-based and real time, because it just reminded me so much of KOTOR, of Knights of the Old Republic, of like you can freeze things and kind of give everyone commands, or you can just in real time mash away at a few different commands. And yeah, it was super polished, super fun, super great. And I still haven't gone back and done what was it, Intergrade, or there's like a prelude or DLC that came out. I got to do that. But yeah, with Rebirth, I'm really excited what they've shown. It's coming out in February, which is crazy. So very soon. I think that'll be a game on my list, and that's probably going to be one of the first ones that on this list that I know actually this is the only one that had the date. This is the game that had the date. So I'm very much excited about what this game is going to be. It's going to set the tone, I think, for the year, and I think it's going to be one of the front runners for like what is going to be talked about at the end of the year, with the bigger AAA, like larger production games that comes out. So yeah, I'm really excited. I'm really excited to see what happens with the story. And I'm gonna put another one in here just because it's not set in stone, but I'm praying, I'm hoping so much. I'm hoping so much for Hollow Knight Silk Song to come out this year by Team Cherry. Hollow Knight, I love. I don't know, it has such a charm and just grab over me that I don't know why, but it's like it did so well at creating the world that it had, and it's so cute and it's so loving and it's so dark and it's all the things that are great. And when they announced that they were doing they reached their stretch goals and then they were going to do something, but then they were like, no, this is so much, we want to just make a whole full-fledged game out of it. And they wanted to follow the story for I believe Hornet, or the female protagonist that was in that game, Silk Song, yeah, Hornet, the Lethal Hunter Hornet. I'm stoked for this. It's been rumored. I think there was rumors of it coming out last year, and it didn't, unfortunately. And I'm stoked for it to come out this year. Hopefully, fingers crossed if it happens. But again, don't no. There's no rush. I don't want it to rush out. They're very intentional. They're very caring developers. The polish on Hollow Knight proper was fantastic, and I feel like the time they're taking is necessary and rightful, and I don't want them to feel like there's any added pressures in there. But I am super excited when it does come out. I'm hoping this is the year. I will definitely be losing my shit if it gets announced anytime soon. So hopefully, fingers crossed, that's my one of the things I can look forward to this year. But I'm just looking forward to it in general. So yeah, that's the games I'm looking forward to properly, I think specifically this year. I'm sure there will be more that'll just surprise me along the way. We're supposed to have, I think, a Switch 2 announced this year. I don't know whether it'll release this year. I've been really enjoying my Steam Deck. I got the OLED recently, so I want to maybe do like a review of that in some fashion because I was an early adopter for the original Steam Deck when that launched, and that's been fantastic. And so making this jump so far so good is all I'll say. But yeah, just things to look forward to this year. I think there'll be a lot, and I'm really curious what you guys are looking forward to this year. Are there any games that you're specifically excited about, that you want to hopefully hear about this year, or maybe get announced this year? Yeah, please share it. Let me know. I'd love to have a conversation about it. Maybe maybe more ideas come out of that. So, thank you again for hopping in, joining me, and I'll catch you guys next time.